I was actually here last year, and there was a lot more people. So this is a really good sign for crypto, actually. I mean that in a good way. There's a little too much excitement that happened there about 6 months ago, a year ago. All proper excitement, in my opinion. This is a world-changing, life-changing paradigm shift in how everything's done, but most importantly, money. How many people here consider themselves to own themselves? 1, 2, oh, this is not good. 3, 4. And the rest, who else? Who owns you guys? The government, yeah. All right. So I'm here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of crypto. I've been around crypto since 2011, when I first heard about Bitcoin at $3. And truthfully, I've been amazed and shocked at how quickly it's all grown. And I truly believe that's because it's an idea whose time has come. For those of you who don't understand why Bitcoin is and was so important, it was because it was the first time, really, in history that across the world, human beings had the opportunity to interchange value without the involvement of a central bank or government. In fact, that's the biggest threat to central banks and governments is things like Bitcoin, not just Bitcoin, by the way. I'll get into that in the bad and the ugly part. But central banks have been around for a few hundred years, and not many people understand how much they've destroyed the world. It is one of the most illegitimate, disgusting scams ever put on humanity to have a central bank, which is a tenet of communism, by the way. Any commies here? Good. That they essentially, this is where the pyramid comes from. Do I have a US $1 bill on me? They even put it right on there. They put a pyramid with the all-seeing eye. It's the way of controlling the world. And not controlling in a good way. Well, for them it's a good way. Controlling in terms of enslaving all of humanity in various forms, which they have now done. Central banking is a complete scam that impoverishes not only the 99%, where people go, oh, it's the 1%, they're the problem. It's the 0.00001%, the people behind central banks. Those are the people who control governments. And governments are illegitimate mafia organizations that extort people. They call it taxation. And apparently get a lot of people to believe they own them. Well, there's some of us who don't believe that anyone should own us. We believe we should be free. And we believe no one should be forced to do anything they don't want to do if they're not hurting anyone else. It's called libertarianism, it's called anarchism. But one of the only ways that they can retain their power and control over people is through the money system. One of the Rothschilds said, "I care not who makes the laws, I care who controls the money." And the reason is, there's another word for money that some people use, and it's called currency. And there's a really important reason they use that word, because it's actually energy. Currency is energy. So whenever we spend money, wherever we spend it, McDonald's or Starbucks, we're giving some of our energy to whoever we're giving that money to. And they understood that. And they understood if you can control what everyone uses as currency, you can control what happens. And that's exactly the case. Essentially, central banks, the Rothschilds, numerous other names for them, control pretty much all governments, And if you don't know, the word government is Latin. Govern, gobernare, means control. Ment, I live in Mexico, speak Spanish. Mente, mind. It's mind control. And they have somehow used the ability to control the currency and the ability to control people's minds into enslaving most of humanity. Until 2009, when Bitcoin came out. For the first time, there was a private currency that was not controlled by a central bank, that could not be controlled by government. That's what made it so important, that we can all now use. And now it's all up to us if we want to use this new technology to free ourselves. If every single person in the world today woke up and said, I'm not going to use these pieces of paper with dead criminals, or even alive ones like the Queen, printed on them, that they can just print up as much as they want and give to all their friends. I'm not going to use that, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use a crypto. If that happened, all governments in the world would go down to such a small level that we wouldn't even care anymore. All central banks would be gone immediately. All wars would end. Ron Paul said it's no coincidence that the 20th century was a century of central banking. It was also the century of total war. They can only do it through this power of controlling the currency, human energy. So the good is, we have the potential now, for the first time, to decide as humanity if we want to be free or not. There's a lot of people who don't want to be free. I don't understand it, but they don't. And I don't want to force them not to be free. If you want to remain a slave, remain a slave. But don't force me to be a slave. But it'll be really up to how many people in this world start to adopt crypto. Excuse me. This came from Burning Man. Caught a little cold, sleeping in a tent in the desert. The good is that we have this opportunity. We are now 9 years into the existence of Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but other cryptos as well. And it actually has gone a lot quicker and faster and better than I thought. I did not think it'd be this big, this fast. So that is very good. The bad, well, before I say what the bad is, there seems to be a misunderstanding between two words, crypto and blockchain. Those are not the same things. In many ways, blockchain, just like anything, can be used for good or bad. But if we're talking about blockchain to record every single transaction, every single thing you do, every single thing you own in a public ledger, while massive mafias still exist in the world today, called governments, who will extort you for 30, 40, 50% or more of everything you make, then that's a bad thing. So that's what we really need to be careful about here. We don't want, well, I don't want, if you want freedom, we don't want every single thing to be stored on a blockchain, publicly, easily accessible by anyone. You can voluntarily use those blockchains, but the real power, the real hope of what we can have in the next few years, which would be true peace and prosperity on earth like we've never known it, lies in the ability to use money without anyone knowing what we're doing with that money. Now, 99% of us use money just like everyone else, haircuts and gas for your car. But the mainstream media, which is just a propaganda outlet for the mafias, the governments, it's actually probably more obvious here than any other country in the world. Who's your main television program? It's called television programming for a reason, by the way. It's literally hypnosis. Who's your main television programming channel that tells you the news? Oh, it's the government. Oh. Oh, and we have to pay our television permit license. And if we don't, they'll put us in a cage. So, I'm getting some blank stares. You guys didn't know it's all propaganda? It's all propaganda on television. US, every single one. CNN, CNBC, ABC, and all of them. It's all a CIA arm of the government putting out propaganda. This is all just knowledge, proven knowledge now. So if you're watching a television with mainstream media on it, you can pretty much know you're not getting the truth. So if what you really want is to be free, and apparently it's not that many people, you should be more focused on the cryptography aspects of these coins. A year ago, Bitcoin had a fork, and it split into two Bitcoins, one called Bitcoin BTC, the other one called Bitcoin Cash, BCH. And it was a bit of a dispute about how Bitcoin should be run. There's even other ones that are actually much better crypto-wise, ones like Monero. And the more that we start to use these, the more we will have a free world and we'll free ourselves. But, and I wasn't here for a lot of this conference, if there's a lot of guys up here talking about how we need to make sure everything on the blockchain is all regulated by the government, you don't want to go down that path. You thought this was bad? Wait till they know every single thing you do, every single transaction you make, and can take your funds at any time. That's not an advance, that's going backwards. At least with fiat cash, as dirty and as stupid and horrible as it is, if you bury it in your backyard, they probably don't know it's there. Once they get to a digital currency that they can track everything, you will be enslaved. I can't even imagine how badly you'll be enslaved. But the beautiful thing is, this is an option. This is not an inevitability. It's an option. We have the choice right now to decide, are we going to use these systems to free people or to enslave them more? And many of you who might be doing this might not even know what you're doing. But we do not want to end up in a world where governments and central banks issue and control the currency, extort, rob, kidnap, and kill people, and know every single thing about what you do and where you go. It could go that way. I'm a bit more optimistic. But we do need to make sure that some people realize this is way bigger than making some money or some cool new gadgets. This will decide the world for the foreseeable future of one of peace and prosperity or one of complete oppression. As George Orwell said, the boot stamping on the human face into eternity will all be decided in the next few years. So keep that in mind. This is much more important than making money, creating cool things. The crypto aspect, the privacy aspect of all these things, especially if it's money-related currency, is integral. It is everything. There will be private coins. There's some right now. Monero is one. But unless enough people use it, then we can't stop what's going to happen. So that's the ugly. The ugly is, used incorrectly, this technology could enslave the whole world. and it'd be very hard to get out of that slavery. If we use this technology correctly, we can free the world. All the people who have been extorted, impoverished, kidnapped, killed, not even mentioning the wars that are all fabricated by the central banks on purpose. Hundreds of millions of people. If you watch the mainstream media in the US, which I don't, apparently they've been clapping all week for John McCain, who's napalming little girls in Vietnam. What a hero. And then came back and through the central banks asked for more money to bomb more people. When you think about it, what all these people have done, it's horrendous. But they had the ability to do it because people still believed in government mind control and continued to use those dirty little pieces of paper called fiat currency. And we have the opportunity, we have the option now, if we want, to just say no. Not a shot needs to be fired. We just start using cryptos, good ones, not Ripple. Through that, it takes away the power of the central banks. Extortion revenues go down. They can't finance more wars. As more people use more private crypto, they stop giving in to extortion fees. They get even less revenue. Before you know it, all those little politicians just go back to their little jobs where they'll go be a janitor somewhere and ruin a few people's lives, but not millions or billions of people's lives. Yeah, I should have ended with the good part. This kind of seems sad now. I ended with I didn't think about this. Should have been the ugly, the bad, and the good. At this moment in time, 2018, we are a very interesting inflection point in the cryptos. Really, last year was the first year that a lot of people really woke up to the power and potential and what's going on. Billions and billions of dollars have gone into this market. We're still at about $200+ billion. A lot of the projects being worked on out there are by anarcho-capitalists and voluntarists and freedom fighters. So we will see a lot of amazing things come out in the next few years that are just being built right now. One that I particularly like is EOS. I like Monero as well. But I have no doubt I will be surprised at some of the innovations that come out of this market. We've now got, for the first time, a lot of people who understand freedom, who believe in freedom, and have capital, and have the technology to change the world. So I think in the next couple of years, even I will be shocked. But we'll see what happens. This is it. This is the war. We're in the war right now. It's a pretty cool war, actually. I can drink some wine, and I got a nice hotel room, but I'm still in the war. It's a good war of all the wars. I wouldn't want to be World War I or something, like in some ditch. So this is the most comfortable war, but also probably the most important war. So that's what I wanted to relate to you today, is that this is still not decided which way this is going to go, and to relate to you that when you think about what you want to do with this market, remember that a big key of it is to not have giant open ledgers run by government institutions regulating them. The real answer is the exact opposite. Complete cryptographic privacy, which was the initial intentions of Bitcoin, which came out of the cypherpunk movement. And so I would just say, Good luck to all of us. It's going to be very interesting what happens next. I'll be here watching, maybe hiding at some points as it gets worse and worse. But I wish you all the best and peace and love, and thank you all, and all the best to everyone on earth. I wish us all the best. Peace. Thank you.
Jeff Berwick, ladies and gentlemen.